Hi, it's Cathy Cena with Tri-Cities Community TV, and we are today at the Coquitlam Library. We'd like to thank them for donating our space, as well as we'd like to thank the Coquitlam First Nations lands. Today with me is Neely Yuda, Manager of Children of the Streets and Event. Neely, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Please start off by telling us what is Children of the Streets and what's your role specifically?
So I'm the program manager for Children of the Street, and what we do is we work to prevent the sexual exploitation and human trafficking of children and youth in all of BC, and also here in the Tri-Cities, and we've been a local of the Tri-Cities for 30 years now.
Wow, and how long have you been with the organization?
I've been with Children of the Street for 7.5 years now.
Wow, wow, and your focus is on putting on events and programs.
Yes.
What kind of events do you have?
So our main thing that we do at Children of the Street is we go out to schools and we present workshops to kids to educate them on the issue of sexual exploitation, human trafficking, online exploitation. And as part of that, we also do some community events. So we have an event that we do for youth who participate in our programs. And we have some fundraising events as well every year. But our main focus really is the school workshops.
The school workshops and bringing awareness to sexual exploitation with teens, etc.
Yeah.
Without, obviously, I know there's a lot of privacy around this, but are you able to give me examples, or like what is it that they're being exploited to? Maybe people are not aware of certain things that are going on, you know, and can you share a little bit of that with me?
Of course. So one of the main things that we're seeing in the community, as well as hearing from kids when we go out to the schools, is the most common form of exploitation today takes place online, right? So kids are spending more and more time online every day. This has been exacerbated by the pandemic. And predators know that. So they go to the same websites, the same social media platforms, the same gaming platforms where kids are. They usually pretend to be someone their age or maybe just a bit older than them. They develop a relationship, which then leads to, at some point when trust is established, it leads to them asking the child to send an intimate image of themselves. When the child has sent that image, usually then the person on the other side will start threatening them that if they don't send them money or more pictures, then they will share those pictures with the rest of the community, with their parents, with their friends, with their school. So that's called sextortion, and that's one of the most common forms that we're seeing in recent years. There's also other forms of exploitation where youth share each other's nudes without permission. Of course, there's forms of in-person exploitation where somebody you know actually takes advantage of you and asks for a sexual act for something in return that they will give to the child or the youth.
Something that you said just a moment ago is regarding that children share each other's nudes without their consent, meaning that a teenager got a nude from another student and then that teenager shared that nude with another, like, look what Mary sent me, or look what Joe sent me. Oh, wow, wow. And that's a form of exploitation as well.
It is a form of exploitation.
Because there was no permission there.
Exactly, there was no permission, and sometimes these photos actually get shared around way beyond
a few people.
Exactly.
Yes, hundreds of people later. It's just like a whole domino effect.
Exactly. They can end up in the internet. They can be removed, but it's difficult and it takes time. So that's why we always tell teens, if you do receive that kind of picture, it was sent to you because there is trust, because the person trusts you. So don't show it to anyone. Even if you're not sending, but just showing your phone like that, that's already illegal. So we really want them to know that they're breaking the law by doing that.
And this is what the workshop involves, right? Letting them know, by the way, if you're doing this, you're breaking the law. This was for you. Don't share it with others. You know, as an adult, we don't do this. We don't do it as children either.
Exactly.
And so on.
Yeah, and also just informing them of the risks and that some people's intentions are not good, so they need to be aware of that, and that, you know, on the internet everything lives forever, so we don't want to put something there that at some point we might regret. We also really want them to know that there is support out there, so if something does happen to them, it's not their fault. They can call us, they can call a number of other organizations, they can talk to their parents, to the school staff, because we will help them and support them first to remove those pictures, but also just to be there for them and to show them that there is a way out of these situations.
So when kids are listening to you at schools, have you gone to a lot of the Tri-City schools?
Yeah.
And I know you're in the Tri-Cities, but I can imagine that it's a little bit larger than just the Tri-Cities population, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the Tri-Cities for now. And so do you have sort of plea like facilitators at your organization that go out to the schools and do outreach, and they're talking to them and they're giving examples and things, and then what happens after that? Like, how are the children feeling at those schools? Do some come up and talk to you guys after, and you know, what kind of advice do you give them?
So yeah, we present about 500 workshops every year all across BC. We're very active here in the Tri-Cities just because we're local, and we know the schools well. Just last year, we presented to almost 10,000 kids just here in the Tri-Cities.
Wow.
So when we go out to schools, many times it does prompt questions or concerns for kids, and they will come to our facilitators at the end to ask questions or to ask for support. So our facilitators are very experienced and trained in addressing those issues in the moment, and usually the first thing they will do is encourage the child or the youth to tell a trusted adult that's in their life, like a parent, like a teacher, that can help and support them through it. But we'll also always give our contact information as well as other resources, so that if the child or the youth prefers to come to us or wants to go to their parents and then approach a professional, they can call us, they can send us a private message on Instagram, as well as another of national resources, such as Cyber Tip, for instance, who can help them as well. There's law enforcement. But they can always call to ask and ask questions, and we will be there to support them.
So your role, we'll go back to your role for a minute. You're in charge of putting all these programs together and outreach in the schools.
Yes.
Yeah. So what made you get involved in something like this? Like, it's quite a delicate and very serious, you know, topic and everything. As you were speaking, of course, as we know, the renowned coverage and news that Amanda Todd, you know, received, and now there's an Amanda Todd legacy. It's exactly what you're speaking of. A person sent her, you know, she sent someone photos. They then threatened her. The person was not here. We know he was an international individual, but the same thing happened, and now she's no longer here. And her mother has been, you know, advocating for her for many years. So why did you get involved in this kind of thing? Like, you could be, you know, dealing with unicorns and rainbows, but yeah, it's quite, you know, it's quite a heavy topic, and you know, I guess one child makes a difference.
Yes, and it's so important, and I think all kids are impacted by this today, right? So. Maybe in the past, when sexual exploitation was happening more in person, it was much harder on the predators to they would actually have to go somewhere, locate a child, build that relationship. But right now, our kids are vulnerable to that. I'm a mother myself, so I know how real the concern is, and I know that parents feel very overwhelmed with how fast technology is changing, and they're not sure what their kids are doing on there. So I think it's crucial that we get the information out there, and education really is the key to preventing sexual exploitation. Yeah, and I just want to say that Children of the Street, when it was founded here in Coquitlam by Diane Sowden 30 years ago, she started it after her daughter was trafficked, and back then there was very little awareness to the issue. So even seeing today, you know, how it's changed and how parents are more open to listening to it, to hearing about it, as well as schools. We go out to schools and kids know what we're talking about much more than they used to. So I can really see how it's evolving and how this awareness is critical.
So we talked about that you guys are doing workshops for about 10,000 people here in the Tri-Cities, 10,000 kids. What kind of outcome stories, you know, have you sort of seen? I don't know if any of that gets back to you or not. Like you said, you know, your facilitators are trained on how to talk to the kids, talk to someone you trust at home. Here's our information. And so what happens when they do reach out to you and maybe they've talked to someone at home, but they want to bring in somebody else, you know, as a independent person, really, not emotional? Because I know if my daughter came to me, that would be quite devastating, you know, for me. And so what are some of the outcomes that you've seen with parents and kids?
So one story that I can share is that a couple of girls who approached a facilitator after a workshop, they were in middle school, and they shared some very concerning things that have happened to a friend of theirs, which she told them, but she asked them not to share with anyone.
Of course.
And of course, a facilitator first asked questions to get the information, but she really encouraged them to let their parents know, because this is not something that kids at 12 or 13 should try to handle on their own, right? They don't have the tools to do that.
No.
And at the end of the conversation, they did confirm that they will talk to their parents about it, and the parents knew the parents of the other girls, so now they can build the support around her and make sure that she's receiving support. In addition to that, we of course will follow up in cases like that with the school and the teacher, just to make sure that these girls are supported, as well as that the girl that was the victim in this case is receiving support. These are minors, and the most important thing is, these are minors, and the most important thing is that they have somebody with them that knows what's going on and can support them in this situation. They should never be on their own dealing with that.
And so you guys do all of that, and then do you hear back from the students at all that they say, hey, it was really a great workshop, I was able to help my friend in the situation that I thought, you know, because you don't really know. I mean, it's like domestic violence, you know, like what is it if I tell you, oh, you're dumb, you know, and I say it once, is that violent? Like, what am I doing, right? So with this, do the facilitators get to see the action of their work eventually?
In cases like that, sometimes yes, we don't know how it evolved, because we have to trust other professionals to do what they're trained and are there to do. But there are some cases where the parents will come to us, and we will support the parents as well. So we'll follow the parents, kind of see if there's something that we can do with them, if there's more education that they need. We'll refer them to other services that can support them. We'll help them put a safety plan in place if that's needed. So in those cases, we do know how it ended or what it led to.
Right. It's good that you talk about safety plans. Do you, what are some things, like maybe our viewers would like to know as you know, adults and parents themselves, what are some certain kind of signs that, you know, you should be kind of inquiring about with your child? And, you know, what are we looking for at home?
Yeah. So when it comes to online exploitation, the most important thing parents can do is talk to their kids about this issue, have very open, honest conversations, and be very not judgmental and not get angry if, you know, if something has happened to their child, because it's not their fault. And I always tell the parents that if you know the red flags of exploitation and you teach your child, it almost doesn't matter which application they're using or which social media platform they're on, because those red flags will come out. So the first one is gifts. So predators will offer children free things online as well. It can be online gift cards, it can be things like cheat codes or V-Bucks or currencies that are used on games. And parents should tell their kids, why would someone you don't know offer you something for free? If they're offering something for free, maybe they're trying to build that trust, and maybe they're going to use that against you later. So gifts are a big red flag. Another one is changing platforms. So if a predator or a person is communicating with your child, let's say on a gaming app, and now they're telling them, let's also connect on social media, give me your Snapchat, give me your Instagram, that's also a big red flag, because that will give the predator access to the kids on multiple platforms, multiple times, and also a lot of access to personal information, which again, they can later use. And then another one, of course, is if the predator or if the person is threatening them, making them feel uncomfortable, telling them to keep secrets, like don't tell your parents that you're talking to me. All of these are signs that kids should know, that they should immediately stop engaging in the conversation, block the person, and tell a trusted adult.
And report, yeah. And a lot of times are the police involved in these kinds of things?
Yeah, certainly. Yes. So we do encourage parents and kids to go to law enforcement. British Columbia also have the Intimate Image Protection Service. It's a new service which I really want all British Columbians to know about, because it's very good. And if minors and adults have had pictures shared without consent, or somebody even just threatening them to share those pictures, they can approach this service and they will help them address it. They can help them remove the pictures, they can help them seek damages, and they can also approach the actual social media companies and make sure that those images are removed. So that's a really great resource.
Many, many years ago, when my children were in high school, we had a police officer come in and talk about this and what's happening on social media and the internet, and it's the officer that is pretending to be the you know, and he's the young person, and it happens in boys and girls. It's not just girls, right?
Yes.
I couldn't believe how it was so much more on the rise with boys.
Yeah.
And then they were then bringing them in, and just recently, whether it's a joke or not a joke, because I don't believe too much on the internet, but I was on a TikTok, and the person was confronted and said, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" Like, and they told him, "You were here waiting for a 15-year-old." And the adult male said, "I don't know what you're talking about," and he went back inside. And of course, this person was very hostile. And I thought, "Oh my gosh!" Like, it's just. Oh dear, I just touched my mic. I said, oh my gosh, you know, how horrible is that? And you are just so knowledgeable, and I'm leaning in and listening, even though my children are adults, and you know about all the platforms and all the things, and it's just like, wow, you have to really keep up with the latest and what's going on, because in the next minute a new platform will come on that you don't know, and you have to get yourself, you know, known about that and educated, so you know, not that your children are doing this, but do you always have like your spidey senses up though? Like more than the average mom?
Perhaps. I mean, yes, because I think the more you're aware, then obviously you're seeing the signs and you know how prevalent it is, and it's hard to just think, oh, it's not going to happen to my child, because I do know how common it is, unfortunately, and how it can happen to any child. But going back to what I said about the red flags, I do want parents to know that yes, technology is changing all the time. There's new platforms, but it's almost impossible to know all of them. But those red flags will be relevant on almost every platform. And the most important thing you can do is just talk to your kids so that they know that they can come to you if something is happening to them.
The world is ever so changing.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, Neely, thank you so much for being here, educating our viewers. You heard from Neely with Children of the Streets. Check them out on their social media in case something is a little bit astray in your home with your teenager or younger. My name is Cathy Cena. Thanks so much for watching Tri-Cities Community TV.